membership, a junior membership, an OCA associate membership, OCA NCBA membership, and then I've got a OCA Cattlemen's Association. Which one do you feel is the most extensive?
Probably the OCA, just our general one, the association membership. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and dive into creating this. So to begin, I just came to my Forms tab, my form list, and this has brought us to the only place that we can access our forms within our system. So obviously if I want to create a new form, I'm just going to select this big green button in the left-hand corner. And step by step, it's just going to ask me to begin creating the form. So I'm going to call this our membership application. I'm going to spell it correctly. There we go. We can add in a form description, but that is not mandatory. It's totally optional. And then it looks like we have 2 selections down here, but we actually have 4. So the way our forms work is we've got some preset sections in here that are always going to be within the form. Things like a login section, payment section, summary section, confirmation section. Those are always going to be a part of our form. But we can kind of determine what type of form this is based on what type of section the body of the form is using. So the 3 sections we can choose from, so these are kind of 3 optional sections, is either a membership application section, an event registration section, or a general section. So right now, at this point in time, when we're creating this form, we're telling the system what kind of form we're creating, and it's going to bring that section in for us. So if this is a membership application, we're going to toggle membership, and it's going to go ahead and bring in the membership section and turn it on for us in our form. If this is an event registration, then we're going to toggle on the event registration button. It's going to go ahead and bring in the event registration section into our form for us. We could use this as both, so we can tag both. It's going to bring in a membership section and an event section. And you ask yourself, well, if it's neither kind of form, maybe it's a donation, a sponsorship, or a survey form, we're going to tag neither of these, and that's going to pull in an event section for us. Okay? In this case, this form is being used for membership, so I'm going to tag membership. Now, if you mess this part up, you can totally add these sections in manually, no problem. I'm going to show you how to do that. But I just wanted to show you, you can tell the system exactly what you're creating, and it's going to get you set up the way you need to be set up in here.
Okay.
At this point, I'm going to select Save, and it's going to bring us to our form builder. But before I dive into that form builder, I'm going to back up for just a second, because there's a couple other things I want to show you. Right now, you can delete this form. However, the second a form submission has been created and submitted, you can no longer delete it. That's because it's going to be linking information to your members' profiles. So if you deleted form submissions that are linking info to profiles, it's going to delete all the info from the profile. You don't ever want to accidentally do that. So that's why we're going to take away this delete option once a submission has been created. If you have a lot of event registration forms that are similar or the same, instead of creating a new event registration form for every event, you'll just be able to copy that form previously we created and then just change a couple things, and then you'll already have the form made for you. You can edit our forms. So what that means is that we can just make any edits to our form fields. And then we can take this form. Taking this form will allow you to take the form on behalf of somebody. So you can select somebody from your database, or you can proceed as a new profile. So let's say one of your friends emails you and says, hey, I want to be a part of your association. Can you register me? Then you can just take the form on behalf of them, so they don't have to do it if they don't want to.
Oh, okay.
And then let's say somebody emails you on a Monday and you don't get to it until Wednesday afternoon. You can prevent a confirmation email from going out to that person. So that way they don't know that it took you 2 or 3 days to get that input.
That's
Yeah. All right, any questions so far?
No.
Awesome. You can search your form. So right now you're only going to have a couple. However, as the years go by, you're going to have a lot of events that are created. So you can search your forms by using our search bar instead of having to scroll through. If you ever have a bunch on this page, that'll make your life a little bit easier. At this point, I'm going to edit, and this is going to bring me back to that form builder. Right off the bat, there's a left-hand column, there's a right-hand column. The right-hand column of our form builder is just imagine it as a rough draft. It's exactly how the form's going to look. It's just not pretty yet. The left-hand side, you'll notice there's 3 tabs up here at the top. Form settings is going to review all of the form settings for the form as a whole. So it's going to be all of the form settings for the form as a whole. Form elements are going to be how we're going to ask questions of our members on our form. And then we've got element properties. Element properties are going to be customizations we have per field that we add on the form, and also per section. So I know right now that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're going to go back through these all together here in a second in detail. Before I do that, I want to go through the different sections that I have on my form. The first section is my login section. This login section can be turned off, so if I look at the properties, you'll notice it's letting me look at element properties or customizations I have to this particular section. I can do a couple different things. First off, members are not going to see membership application when they go to take the form. Instead, the titles that they will see for each section as they enter through the sections are going to be whatever's on this label. So when they get to the login section, the label is just going to read login. If we want to change that, we would change it right in this box. So maybe we want it to say login section. You'll notice it's going to update, so now this is what they're going to see in that section on the form. Okay. You can also turn off the login section. I say 10 times out of 10 you want to keep this on because this is what's going to recognize your member. So it'll save whatever information they fill out within their profile. It's also going to be what allows your members to have member discounts or member type pricing, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. You can decide what type of members you want to be able to use this. So you can allow all users to take the membership application, only existing users, which wouldn't make a lot of sense, right? Or only new users. So you could only allow new users. However, the membership application can also be used as a renewal application.
Okay.
Most times your members are going to want to just pay their invoice and the notification they receive with the invoice attached. However, this is an option as well, taking the membership application. So I would kind of keep both login sections available for new users and existing users, just in case you have a member by chance that wants to take the actual application for renewal instead of just paying the invoice. Okay, and then you can allow multiple submissions. I haven't found a purpose to use this toggle really yet, so I would just leave this toggled off. And that's everything for the login section. Any questions on this piece? Okay, awesome. So now let's dive into our next section, which is that membership section, right? Because this is what we told the form we wanted to use. Once again, I can look at the properties for this section. And if I didn't want this to say membership, if I wanted it to read membership application, then I would just type this in and it's going to update on my tab. And once again, that's what your members will see. You can enable this membership section, which is what we want to do because we're using it. We can require the membership section. I'm not going to require it. Instead, if I want to, I'm just going to require specific fields on here, but I'm not going to require the whole thing.
Okay.
You can display the application, which is what we want to do. And then we can also display the renewal section, which if you wanted to use this potentially as a renewal form, you would want to leave that toggled on as well. A couple other things you can change about this membership section. Let's say you don't really like the way that this reads. Choose a member type below to join as a new member. Maybe you want a little bit more information or you want to just give information about your different memberships. If you click on the field, once again, it's going to show you the element properties. You can edit that text and you can put in here whatever you want to.
Okay.
You can do the same thing for the renewal text. It'll show up. The renewal text will only show up if somebody's logged in. So only if it recognizes them as being in their renewal period and logged in and needing to renew. Then we have the member type available. So for new members, they're going to see a drop down of what member types they can choose from. So we're going to choose the member types that they can choose from. So we'll select all member types at that time, except for admin, because we don't want them to be able to apply as an admin. That would make sense. Same thing for membership renewal. This is going to show them their membership renewal options. At that point, we're ready to start building out the questions we want to ask of your members. Name is already built in. Everything else we're going to add in together here shortly. But that's about everything we need to review for the membership application section. Any questions on this so far?
No.
All right, awesome. Then we have a summary section that's built in. The summary section, we can look at the properties for this. We can turn this on. This is just going to allow your member to review the information they provided for the questions that you've asked. So if we select all of the fields for them to review, then all of them are going to show up for them to review. Payment section, you're always going to want to make sure you've got set up. So if I look at the properties for this, you'll always want to make sure you've chosen your payment processor. Want to make sure you always choose your invoice template type. And are you going to allow people to pay offline, like later by invoice, or are they forced to pay online with?
No, they're forced to pay immediately when signing up.
Perfect. So I'm going to leave this toggled off. Now for an event later in the future, if you want them to be able to pay later with an invoice, then you'll just toggle this on.
Okay.
The last section, which is my favorite section, is the confirmation. So this is going to be a page they'll see once the form's been submitted. You can edit the text. If instead of saying your form has been successfully submitted, you could say your membership application has been submitted successfully. But the awesome part about this is if you review the properties for the confirmation section, it will also allow you to set up a confirmation email. That confirmation email can act as a receipt for your member. However, you'll also notice you can BCC somebody on this if you want to BCC yourself. That way, every time a new member has applied, you're going to get an email in your own inbox with a kind of summation of their information. So that way you're not having to come and check member clicks every single day to see if you've got new members. Instead, it's just going to notify you.
Oh, okay. That'd be great.
Yeah, I think that that's an awesome piece. And then we can also use, below my editor, we have this merge data tool. So you can merge in information that they provided from the form. So you can provide, or you can have their member type be in this kind of like receipt per se, the submission date, submission total, and then I always like to also add in the first name and then the last name. And you can get in here and kind of customize this as much as you want, but that way you'll kind of be able to see in your email exactly who this person was, what member type they chose, and how much they owe, and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on this part?
Oh, that looks great.
Awesome. All right, so a couple other things that we want to start reviewing is how to actually build out the questions we want to ask of your members. So I'm going to come back to my membership application section. Before I start adding those pieces in, I want to review those general form settings that I mentioned. You know, these are the form settings that apply to the form as a whole. So form name is just going to be the name of the form. The form alias is going to be what creates the URL. So once again, that's going to come after the / to create the URL of the form. I want to go ahead and publish this form. If this was an event, you might want to enable an expiration date. In our case, it's not. It's just a membership application, so this is never going to expire. You can edit the group, so this is going to determine who exactly can see this and who can't. We're going to set, so the next two, date-based pricing and discount codes, this is only for event registration or a general form. So this would allow you to set up early bird pricing or maybe like a late fee for somebody applying, registering, for an event registration. A discount code would allow you maybe to give board members a 10% discount or $10 discount or something like that on their total for the event that they're coming to.
And so with those, like on the date-based pricing, I mean, we can set the expiration date and it'll automatically do it where we don't have to log back in or remember to change it.
That's exactly right, yep.
Are you cool with it?
It'll just, you would want to remove it from being linked on the front end of your site, because if it's expired and somebody tries to take the form, it's just going to say this form is no longer available.
Oh, okay.
So you'll still need to remove it from the front end, but it definitely won't allow anybody to take it.
Okay.
All right, and then the last piece of this is the forward URL. Typically, after the form has been submitted, it's going to take you back to the front end of your website. However, If you want them to go to a different page of more or additional information about whatever they just registered for, or maybe a page of additional membership information, you would put in that URL in here, and it's going to redirect them to that page once the form's been submitted. Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's everything for those general form settings. Any questions on these?
Mm-mm.
All right, so now we can actually start adding our form elements. So adding form elements, we've got our, this is going to go back to when we talked about the attributes. When I get your database, I'm going to add in your custom attributes depending on what you've collected in your database. So in our case, I don't have any right now, but we will have, like I said, those added once I've got your database in here. Built-ins and custom attributes are they're going to be what talks to or communicates with your members' profiles. So any information that you've collected in a built-in or custom attribute will be saved in the member's profile. If you need to ask a question of a member that you don't want saved in their profile, like maybe you're having a luncheon and you need to ask what kind of lunch they want, what kind of sandwich they want. Do you want ham, turkey, or cheese? You're going to use a form field. That's going to save the information in the form submission, but not in their profile, because you don't need that information forever, right? Lastly, we have some presentation items. I mentioned earlier if you check the wrong boxes to begin with, as far as whether this is a membership application or event registration form, if you ever accidentally choose the wrong boxes, you can just go ahead and pull in these fields. Now this is a membership application and an event section.
Okay.
Same with the general section. And then if I wanted to delete these, I'm going to view the properties and delete. Element properties, delete. All right, so getting back into that membership. So it looks like, and then the rest of these kind of just have to do with how the application looks, how it presents itself. So if you wanted to add a horizontal line, this is literally what it reads, just a horizontal line to act as a separator. A label is just going to be a box of information or a box of direction that you've added. So you could say, you know, please complete the following or something like that. Page break, these are built in. What this is right here. Whoops. This is one. This is one. The only time you can actually use a page break is on a general form. Maybe you have a survey you want a member to take and you're asking 40 questions on the survey. You may want to put a page break in between every 10 questions so they'll complete the 10 and then go to the next page. Complete 10 and then go to the next page versus scrolling through one page.
Okay.
And then white space is just exactly how it reads. It's just some white space. Once again, as a separator. So if I wanted to delete these, I'm just going to click on those boxes. It's going to take me to the element properties, and I'm going to delete them. Okay, everything seeming okay so far?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, forms is a lot, so if you get overwhelmed, just let me know.
Okay.
All right, so we've gone through those presentation items. Let's go ahead and start creating the membership application questions. Now, some of these things we're not going to need to ask because our system's going to go ahead and record it for us. So your first question is what's the date? We don't need to ask that because the system's going to record that for us. Okay, so we don't need to ask the date. Then it's going to ask for name. So that's already in here. We've already asked for the individual's name. Then we're asking for company/ranch and mailing address. So I know that those are both built-in attributes. So I'm going to go to my built-in attributes column. I'm going to go to organization. Now, I don't want this to read organization. I really want it to read company or ranch. So what I'm going to do is change the way that this reads or change the label. So I'm going to type in company/ranch. And so now, this reads just as you had it previously. I'm going to add in mailing address. That's going to be adding a form element again, adding the address. Right now it looks like we have home. Do you want me to change this to mailing instead of home?
Yes, please.
So the way that we would do that, because this communicates with our attributes section that we reviewed on our database training, so I'm going to go back under my database tab, back into attributes, back into my physical address, and instead of home, I'm going to change this label to read mailing. And I'm going to save that change. Now if I go back into my form, go back into editing this form, scroll on down in here, now you'll see it reads mailing. Did you see how they kind of communicate with one another?
Yeah.
Yep. So they're very closely related, forms and those attributes. All right, then you've asked for county. So I haven't added county as a custom attribute yet, but that's something I will add once I import your database. Once again, just to show you the relationship, I'm going to go back under database, back into attributes. I'm going to create a new custom attribute, and I'm going to call this county. Do you typically have this just as a write-in, like a text box, or do you have it as like a drop-down?
Well, it's a write-in currently where we're at.
Do you think it would be beneficial if it was actually a drop-down with all the different counties, or do you guys have too many counties?
I mean, we've got 77 in the state, so whatever you think's best on that. I'd be fine with it as a drop-down unless you think that's too many.
No, I think that actually is a good idea because it's easier to search by selection sets versus just text boxes because you never know who's misspelling something or who used a capital and who didn't, right?
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
So we're going to just create I do that commonly. I mean, we did it for the state of Georgia, and we've got, golly, I don't even know how many counties we have, a ton. All right, so I'm going to go back in here, and so now you'll see in my form, under Add Form Elements, Custom Attributes, there's that county. I'll create the drop-downs at a later date, but it'll have all the drop-downs here. Okay. You've asked for telephone number, email, and then recruited by. Telephone number is a built-in, and email is a built-in. So I've got my built-ins. I'm going to grab the phone, and then I'm going to grab the email, and I'm just grabbing and dragging. Do you want phone and email to read main or something different other than home?
Is there a way to add two phone numbers, one for home and one for a cell phone?
You got it. So I would just come back in our database, back into attributes, back to phone number, and I'm just going to add a label. Were you fine with the email address being listed as home?
Yeah, or I mean that can just be email, either way.
So now if I come in here and click on phone, you'll notice there's two that are available in my element properties. So I can make the cell available as well. It's telling me I don't have an export name. You're going to see this export name pop up in a couple different places. We have the ability to export all of the form submissions in an Excel document. The export name is going to represent the column header in that Excel document.
Okay.
So I'm going to just make the export name the header. Okay, so now we've got our phone home, our phone cell, our email main. Then we have recruited by, type of operation, please send me information on. These all look like they should be custom attributes, so I'm going to go ahead and add those. But then I also see OCA annual dues, and they have a place where they can write in different amounts for different items. Are these like donations that they can also send in?
Yes. Yeah, they're donations.
Okay, cool. So those would not be custom attributes. Those are just going to be fields on the form, and I'm going to show you how to add those in. But before I do that, I'm going to go back into my custom attributes. I'm just going to create these custom attributes really quickly to show you how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to add a custom attribute. I'm going to add a recruited by. Recruited by can just be a text box to me, I think.
Yeah, because it's just somebody's name.
Yep.
So.
I'm going to add a new. I'm going to add type of operation. This is a selection set.
Yeah,
Can Can they choose more than one, or can they only choose one of these?
No, they can choose more than one if they want.
Cool beans. So what we can do for that is see this selection and display options drop down.
Uh-huh.
So this is an example of what we've been creating. We call this the radio button, meaning they can choose one. However, I can also have a single selection drop-down menu. When you see single selection, that means they can only create or only select one selection. Drop-down menu is going to look like this, but only allow them to choose one. We will most likely use this type for county, so that way it's not just this horribly long list, right? It's just a drop-down.
Yeah.
But then we have these multiple selection options. Multiple selection meaning that they can choose all three options. See here how all three are selected?
Okay.
Or two, or one. And then we've also got a multiple selection select box, which means it's a kind of a drop-down box once again, but they can choose more than one. I think for this example, the check boxes will be most beneficial.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So once again, I'm going to go ahead and say save and add another. And then I want to add this one more. Please send me information on. I'm going to make this a selection set again, and we're going to add in exactly what we're looking for. So brand registration, Oklahoma Cattle Women, Inc.
You know, and then that one probably doesn't need to be on there because they'll be able to select that as a member type if they want.
Okay. What if they want to be a different member type but still want to receive Oklahoma Cattle Women, Inc. information? Is that possible?
Yeah, I guess it is. I don't know if we've ever had anybody select it, but you can go ahead and put it in there, and then I can change it as needed.
Okay. Okay. But still didn't get it right. And then National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Okay. And then can they choose more than one of these as well?
Yes.
Awesome. So at this point, I'm just going back to the forms. I'm going to edit this form. And then I'm going to add in these custom attributes that I just added, right? So we've got we've got recruited by, type of and it's giving me these kind of different element properties, so I can make this required if we want to. Would you want me to make, I guess this shouldn't be required because maybe somebody's not recruited.
No, the county I'd like to have that required.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to put in, how about type of operation? Is this required?
No, not necessarily.
Okay. And then we've got please send me information on. And then you said county is going to be required. How about any of these other, like mailing address or company ranch or email? Are any of these required?
The mailing address and phone.
Home and cell?
Or email, because we might have a lot of people that don't have email. So.
Okay. All right, we've got that. Okay, awesome. So now we're going to say, okay, so what's going to happen is when they choose their member type, it's going to give us a drop down of what their member type pricing is going to be. So we don't need to add member type pricing because it's already built into the system. But it looks like we do want to go ahead and add in these donation amounts. So what I'm looking at, how should I add this in? OCA annual dues, that's going to be built in. My fair share contribution, 30 cents per head suggested. How would we determine that?
That's just a voluntary contribution that they can make based off of how many head of cattle they own or run. So, if it's 100 head, then it'd be 30 cents times 100 head. But it's nothing that's required. We just have the option. Some people like to do that. So
awesome. So the way that we could add that in is we're going to add a form element, but this time we're going to add a form field because we don't need to save this in their profile forever. It's really just for the form submission. We have two form fields that we can add that act as a monetary amount or some type of money that we can collect, and that's number and selection set. The rest of these are exactly how they read. If you want to select country, or if you want to, a list of countries they've been to the last year, whatever it may be, then you would add that. If you need a date, if you need them to upload a file like a resume, if you need to upload an image like maybe a picture of their cattle or something like that. I don't know what you guys would need to use that for, but you could use that image. If you need a number, that's what we're going to use for the donation amount. So we're going to name this just what you named it, my fair contribution. And then I'm going to make it a price field. Now first it almost looks like tickets, right? Like I want 5 tickets for however much each ticket cost. But instead, I'm going to make it a currency input. So they can just put in however much they want to donate. Does that look like what you'll need?
Yeah, that looks good.
And then contribution to the Oklahoma Cattlemen's Foundation. This is just another kind of the exact same thing.
Yep. That's just, some people will donate $1, some will do 100, some will do 1,000. It's just they feel led to donate.
So I'm doing the exact same thing that I did before. And then I'm going to do that exact same thing again. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
So something that we'll always need to do if you add a form field that it's going to collect some type of money is you need to tell the money where to go. If you don't tell the money where to go, it's just going to be in an empty revenue account. It hasn't gone anywhere. So to do that, we're going to look at the field, meaning we're going to select that field. We're going to scroll to the bottom, and you're going to see this Edit Payment Processor and Revenue Account. If I select that, this is how this would show on a line item on the invoice. So if you don't want it to read my fair share contribution, 30 cents per head suggested, then you can just change this text, and once again, that's how it's going to appear on the invoice. And then you would select the revenue account that you want this to go into. So if you want it to be, do you know which one this would be?
Doesn't look like it's on there, and after I sent that to you, I may have a few more to add, so I may need to send you that one. I thought I put it on there, but I guess I didn't.
That's okay, so we can add it in there. And
sorry. It's right there. Pull that back up. It's the OCA Fair Share, the 4th item there.
Got it.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And is it going to be the same for all of these?
Yeah, they'll be listed on there. There'll be different categories. So that one for the foundation would be the 4,500. Oh, whoops. Yeah, the 4,500 down here, down lower underneath membership dues. Except for that wouldn't be OJCA revenue. It would just be the OCA Foundation donations.
Okay, so I need to just change that revenue account. I maybe combined something that I shouldn't have.
Yeah, there may be some stuff there.
Okay. And then this last one, it looks like it's going to be the legislative representation, beef promotion and issues management. Did you see that one in here?
Yeah. It is the second from the bottom, legislative contributions.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to save those. And then OCA Life membership. So if they're a Life member, when they pull that drop down, it's going to give them that option. So once again, I don't need to put the dues amount on here, but what is this total remittance?
That just a space for them to add up everything.
Oh, okay. So is this pretty much everything that we need to include in our application?
So, and this is that life member portion. I mean, we put that on there so they can decide, you know, hey, do I want to be an annual member at the $100 level, or we've got it on there to where they can select, hey, I want to pay $2,000 and be a life member. So I don't know if we can give them that option on here, if that needs to be it'll pull up a different, essentially the same form, but just allow them to select life member instead of annual member. Does that make sense?
It sure does. So when we get your database in here, this drop down will have life and OCA annual member. So they'll have either option, and it'll show them what those dues are as they select each one.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Once we get your members in here, we're going to review these forms again together to make sure they look the way they need to. But
Okay.
and if we need to make any changes at that point, then we absolutely can. I would definitely maybe add a little bit of like a synopsis of like each member type and what each member due is. So I would be like annual 100, life 2,000, then the rest of your member types and how much they have to pay. And if you have like membership benefits you want to list for each one, I would do that in this area. So that way, right when they go to take the form, they can see kind of a synopsis of all of those different types that they can choose from.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's generally the best way to do it. At this point, really, I just want to make sure my summary section's up to date, so I'm just going to choose the rest of these. And then we want to make sure our payment section's up to date, which we already did. We can update that confirmation, but I want to show you what this is going to look like on the front end. So, and I'm going to build out the rest of this according to the rest of those forms that you sent me.
Okay.
And I'll let you know when it's been completed. When you want it, do you happen to have like an incognito window or something on your computer by chance?
I do not.
That's okay. So testing these forms is a little bit cumbersome. If the system recognizes you as an admin, it's not going to let you test the form. So you'll have to, the best practice, and I'm going to send these in a follow-up email, the best practice in testing these forms is logging out of your MemberClicks system, opening a separate browser, and then just going to the OCA regular website, just like oca.memberclicks.net. And then we'll like attach it to the front end of the website. You'll click it and then test the form that way. So it's going to recognize you as a non-member. If you use the same browser you were logged in previously, chances are it's going to recognize you within the browser. Does that kind of make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, it's definitely cumbersome, and that's something that we're working on, is to find something a little bit more straightforward in testing. For me, I just have my little incognito window. So what I'm going to do to get to this is if I grab the front portion of your URL, the oca.memberclicks.net, and then if I use my form settings and I grab the rest of that form alias, remember that's what creates the rest of the URL. That's what's going to bring me to your form. If I do, so I'm not a user, so I'm going to log in as a new user, and I'm just going to say test@memberclicks.net, and I'm going to register. At this point, it's going to prompt me to create a password. It can be as simple as number 1, but this is exactly what your members or non-members would see.
Okay.
I'm going to create my profile. At that point, it's created. Oh, I know why. I have to select at least one. At that point, it's going to allow me to select a member type, and yours have not been created yet. So basically, right now, the only member option is member, right? But I'm going to have all your members in here in this drop down. It's going to list one period as how many dollars, and it's going to give me, you know, through whatever the next expiration date is. Then I'm going to fill out this information, and we'll go through this, like I said, once again when all this information is in here. I'm going to put in my name, my company, my mailing address, holy cow, here we go, my home phone number, cell number. I can put in my email. It went ahead and pulled that in though. I would put in recruited by. Type of operation, I can choose cow, stocker, feeder, and purebred. Please send me information on Oklahoma cattle women. I can say my fair share contribution is maybe $1,000, maybe $50, whoops, maybe $250. Once I've completed my application, I'm going to select next. It's going to give me a summary. So my membership for this example member type is $0. It's going to give me a summary of all those fields I just completed. And then it's going to list the total amount that I'm going to owe, right? So it added up all of those different amounts for me.
Yep.
Then I would select next, and then it's going to tell me my total, and then I have to put in my credit card information. And then at that point, I would submit my payment. Okay, does that look about like what you're looking for?
Yeah, that looks great.
Okay, awesome. Any questions on how we did what we did and anything like that?
No, that looks great.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and try to, if with your permission, I think that it would be beneficial to create all of our member types within that one membership application. Do you think that that would work for you guys? From what I can tell, I think it'll work great. What do you think?
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay, I think it would be less confusing for members because they'll have a drop down in the beginning that will tell them exactly how much they're paying and what member type it is.
And so then too, as we go along, like within that, let's say we wanted to add a membership for senior citizens, we could go in and just add that. Or if we took one away, said, hey, we're no longer going to do associate membership, we can delete that or whatever out of that form.
Absolutely. So you wouldn't delete it from the form. You would actually just go back into your database, your member types, and you would either add a new member type here or delete a member type. And it's just going to automatically, so like, let me show you, because we have a couple minutes just to show you the relationship here. Let me bring up your notes again. So we have a annual member type, right? So what I would do is go into my database, go into my member types. I'm going to create an individual member type. And let me double check something. You guys are on a anniversary membership date-based year. Perfect. So an annual is $100. So I'm going to call this annual. I'm going to save this. I would apply my custom attributes that we just created, set my member landing page, which is going to be that member landing page. That's what they're going to see when they log in. We've got the renewal invoice template. We're using the Moolah payment processor. We're using the membership dues revenue account. Of course, we can update this if we need to. And this is dates. I'm going to have to go back and fix that, but that's okay. 3-month grace period, and then I'm going to put in my price, right, which is $100. And I'm going to save this. So now what's going to happen is if I go back to your membership application and I refresh this, check this out, and this dropped.
Oh, it didn't work.
It didn't work. What the heck? I think that maybe it needs another second. Usually it happens that quickly. Oh, man. I was really excited about showing you that. It will work. It's just going to take it a second, I think. I promise. So, I know. That was a real letdown. Okay, let me try. And then it was OCA, and then it was /membership-application. Okay. Well, it will be in. It may take a second right now, but it's going to be in here, and it'll just be included in that drop down. And then if I just choose associate or annual, whatever it is, it's going to show me one membership period, $100 through the next date. So, anyways, that's where it will just automatically update from that section. So, once again, once I have your membership database, I'll be able to actually create all that information, create all those member types, and we'll look at this together and just make sure everything's looking the way it needs to. Okay.
Sounds good. Adrian, I will go ahead. Let me resend you the stuff from QuickBooks.
Okay.
And I will send you, if it's all right, just the complete list of everything, and the stuff that we don't use, I just won't click on. But then that way it's all in there, and that way I don't mess something up. Does that work?
That sounds awesome, and I'll just import, or I'll just create the revenue accounts that are income accounts.
Okay.
Because obviously we don't need the expense accounts, but yeah, just send it all on to me, and I'll create whatever's in there that we need.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. And I'm sorry for my confusion on this. You guys are we are pulling over all content from your existing site, is what we've decided, correct?
I believe so. Yes, I believe that's what wanted to do. Not necessarily to have it done in time to have it all go live at the same time, but I think she was. I think she got all the questions. Double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what she was wanting to do.
I think that's what we decided as well. But when I went to submit that after our last call, I was like, did we say that we were going to go ahead and submit it, or we just wanted to sit tight? I think what I said I was going to do is I was going to go ahead and have it added and also create your membership module, meaning it'll also link back up to your existing site. So that way it's not holding us back from you guys going live. And then you can make additions or changes to I think that's what I said, make changes to what our designer creates for you. And then when you're ready, we can switch it all over to being the membership content versus your membership module. That way you guys can get rid of your current site. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, that does. And I think Chancey had asked you this, but we're able to keep the same web address, correct, even if we switch to you guys?
That's exactly right. One thing I want to go ahead and mention is anytime you go over to members only content. So once your members log in, it is going to switch back to the oca.memberclicks.net. And from my understanding, the reason it does that is because it's offering additional security for your members' information.
Okay, that's not a problem. It's just, we've got OK Cattlemen on everything, and if we had to switch that, it'd be a mess. So.
I totally understand. How many OK Cattlemen? OK, I think we did this last time, but OKCATTLEMEN. Yeah, dang, that stinks because OK Cattlemen, our acronym for your name has to be under 10 or less characters, and that's just at 11, which stinks because we were right there at it.
Right.
But yeah, it'll definitely go to your okcattlemen.org or .com website when they go to your home page. The only time it will change is when they get into members only info.
Okay. That's not a.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you, and thank you for dealing with me while I've been just confusing as anything. I apologize again. I really am going to be working at keeping my Jeff separate. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
All right. Well, thank you. Oh, do you want to go ahead and schedule our next call?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask, is if we needed to go ahead and do another one.
I think it's a good idea. I have some time Friday, or I could do something Tuesday or any other day. I just can't do Monday of next week. What do you have going on?
Friday, I'm out of the office at a conference, so that wouldn't be good. Why don't we shoot for sometime on Tuesday?
Morning or afternoon?
Afternoon, or maybe early afternoon might be pretty good for me. Or late morning's fine too, either way.
How about, let's see, your Central Time. So what if we did 3 my time, 2 your time?
That'll work.
Okay. So this is going to be our social community, which is technically our last training.
Okay.
So whenever I can get that database, I'm going to work just as hard as I can to get it imported. It typically does take me about 7 business days. But I'm going to try my best to get it done before our next training. If I can get it like tomorrow or Friday, that would be really awesome.
Okay. We will work to get that done.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I'm going to finish up trying to add the rest of those membership applications. If I have any questions, I'll let you know, and I'll send a follow-up email with some calling credentials for our following call. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. Appreciate it, Adrian.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. I look forward to talking to you soon. Have a great afternoon.
All right.
Bye. Bye.